Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. Today, you join me. Well, if you know where I am. I'll share that later. Talking later, I will be heading to the city to check out some truly fantastic vintage watches in the Diamond District. Shout out to Danny Vintage Watches. Also, 2 unboxings, and I'll be discussing a trend or a future trend. We've had the integrated bracelet sports watch. So what's next? Well, I think I know. So I haven't been doing that many unboxings recently because I've decided to slow down collecting watches and settle on a carefully curated final smaller collection. And this will culminate in me acquiring my final grail watch, hopefully in the next 12 months. And I will reveal the watch in question in a video very soon indeed. But out of my last few purchases, one watch in particular has started a mini obsession with 70s ellipse style cased watches. This was triggered a few years ago by falling into a fascinating rabbit hole with the story of Gerald Genta's most underrated design and discovering how it inspired Patek. To such a degree, it helped save them from quartz crisis doom. We are of course talking about the Universal Geneve White Shadow. A trend setter few know about or fully comprehend just how monumental it was in changing the watch industry. But not just conceptually with the oval shape, internally too with the record-breaking micro-rotor-based automatic movement. Incidentally, the very same engineer who masterminded it would be headhunted by Patek soon after and hired by them to create almost the same movement again, but just more refined. And in doing so becoming the backbone of Patek's automatic calibers ever since. Now, if you want to find out more, I highly recommend my video I did on this, especially if you're into horology beyond the Royal Oak that everyone seems to bang on about, myself included. But what on earth has this got to do with Omega? Well, let's jump into the first of 2 unboxings, and then later I will explain. This one came from the United States, and this one actually not too far away, a few states over. And this one came all the way from the northernmost island of Japan. What's fascinating is they arrived on the same day. So this one's been halfway around the world. This one's basically been on a domestic flight, and that's about it. But the proof is in the pudding, of course. 2 Omegas, very similar style, 1 quartz, 1 manual wind. Do a quick knife check using the Layol from France. Right, drum roll please. So this I got for just under 400. Let's just cut that. Oh wow, look at that. Oh, that is so elegant. Oh my god, look at that dial. Ooh, hello, and it's wrapped. Little bit of plastic. Let's just take that off. Gorgeous. Look at that. So it is gold plated, but this is when gold plating was. Oh, look at that luscious brown. Very nice strap. Original buckle, although the strap has been replaced. Super thin, and this is a very interesting caliber. We'll talk about it later on. Amazing bit of Omega's kind of untold history. So let's just compare it to my Universal Geneve. Round the same size, a smidgen smaller. Don't have the integrated bracelet, but look at that chocolate sunburst. Oh, there is some scratches on the glass, which I'm gonna have to probably polywatch it or something. Now, if you remember from my earlier video, I talked about Keanu Reeves, his special brand of sprezzatura in this issue of Esquire magazine, how he made the ellipse work so wonderfully with more casual attire. Now, I'm not as cool as Keanu Reeves. I doubt many of us ever will be, but I cannot deny that with jeans and a shirt, the Universal Geneve on the mesh rarely works with casual attire. There's a beautiful kind of simplicity to these watches. It's a rejection of the smartwatch age, over convoluted, over complicated timepieces. It's a return to a more raw horology, or almost like the sundials and obelisks of ancient Rome and antiquity. Not quite the Meistersinger level of hours only. I think that's a bridge too far for me. I think at a more profound level, that's what appeals to me as well as a rejection of the hype where everyone else is going. You know, it's the other way. The inner contrarian within me is pleased, certainly. In the past, I've talked about how the 70s was a tumultuous time for Omega's mechanical calibers. My experience owning several versions of the 1000 caliber left a very bad taste in my mouth, or rather, on my wrist. While stunning to behold, they were over-engineered and notoriously unreliable. The exact opposite of the robust simplicity of the 300, 500 and 600 series of calibers of the post-war period, all built on the back of the Marshall-proved solidity of the famed 30T2 I've waxed lyrically about for absolutely donkey's years. Ironically, despite doing terribly due to the quartz crisis as well, and culminating in them having to be rescued by the Swatch empire, their quartz calibers, however, were some of the best on the Swiss market for the time, and this caliber is a prime example. Back at Rainy Park, if you remember some of the early videos, I used to come here with old Ernie boy. It's all closed. Hopefully it's going to reopen better than before. This is really a hit of nostalgia. Just over there, it's the lighthouse where I discussed my grail, the Hanhart, and that became a reality. Who would have thought it a couple of years later? We are on Roosevelt Island. You might remember this from the early videos with Ernie. So there's the bridge I took over. I'm on the scooter. Later on, I'm going to go to the city, check out some really cool watches. Got off at Times Square, aka il culo del mondo, che schifo ragazzi, but it's the most efficient way to get here. So many watches, so many watches.
It's light, but it's cool. This is my brother's favorite watch. He wears it a lot.
That's beautiful, actually.
This one's bizarre too.
Oh my god.
Factory gem set, sapphires.
Yeah.
I have the card for it for the Fifth Avenue boutique right here. The address is dated to that boutique from the 80s.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
People think it's, I thought I was in Japan when I found this. I thought it was aftermarket, and we confirmed with the card.
Look at that.
Bizarre. Uncut, I think this was a Sage Queen. This thing was not worn.
They've done it, that's interesting.
It's interesting. And we've seen diamond setting in the screws as well. And there should be a ruby set one as well. I've never seen it in person though.
Aside from dozens of more obvious and arguably played out classic stuff that fills the displays of every other Diamond District horological candy store, what attracted me most to Danny's store, who clearly loves what he does, was the scores of more obscure and less played out gems. There was an early Disney character-dialed Genta watch, his own personal favourite and daily beater, the Piaget Polo in all shapes and sizes, not to mention outstanding examples of the often overlooked Rolex King Midas, as well as some very rare Pateks that I never even knew existed, but my favourite has to be that opal-dialed Piaget Ellipse that no video or photo can ever do justice to. I have to say I was very, very tempted by that one indeed. But most fascinating of all was what is known as the Cobra watches by AP, designed by Genta and then Gilbert Gashen. You see, with the success of the Patek Ellipse and Genta's White Shadow that inspired it, AP felt a little behind and wanted their own slice of the action. So they hired the Genevan jewellery/bracelet specialist, Gilbert Gashen, who famously designed and made bracelets for Rolex, Corum, Sima, and previous other APs. The Cobra watches were from the early 1970s, with variations of criss-crossing patterns. There was the intricate V-shaped links of the Milanese style, bold beads of rice, and then Gashen's most iconic speciality was the texture woven look. That was one of his many styles that he cross-pollinated into other brands. And I genuinely think this integrated or lugless dress watch might just be the next big thing, especially as the Genta integrated sports watch hype will inevitably lose its luster. Amazing selection of watches, really cool stuff. Definitely going to come back and hopefully get an interview, because wealth of information, wealth of beautiful watches to see, and I really want to share it with you guys. But I had to leave late for another meeting. I will be back. Thing is, it's going to be dangerous for my wallet. I can already sense it. This caliber was specially designed to be ultra thin for obvious formal cuff compatibility, but also, just as crucially and often overlooked in dress watch design, discreet to set, boosting the overall refinement.
The Omega 1365 movement is a quartz movement, and it's quite unique in that it doesn't have a crown. You hold the button in for less than 3 seconds and let go, and that will move the minute hand by 1 minute. So there we go. There we go. You press and hold the button, 1, 2, 3, and the whole thing will advance 1 hour.
You see, without interrupting the Fibonacci-dictated lines of symmetry, it elevates the elegance and balance of the watch far more than just the obvious comfort of not having a crown. And this also is much more in keeping with the recessed crowns that featured in a lot of the very early White Shadow 1966 designs. Or even Genta's largely forgotten about 1962 Rolex King Midas. But best of all, just check out how clever and nifty they are to set. Pure genius. Omega was very early in understanding that quartz could be best utilized in this way as well, beyond the puritanical tool or sports watch application, as most of the industry was using at the time. But they were excellent at that too, such as their famed record-breaking quartz chronometers.
We're encouraging dress watches, we're encouraging gold, we're encouraging funky, so we're trying.
Good. Yeah.
It's really hard though. Like it's not for everybody. People are still looking for the basics. But our goal is to introduce the masses to the basics and then slowly work up.
Slowly, yeah.
You know?
In my opinion, the grab-and-go ease of an ultra-slim quartz dress watch that, if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't wear too much, makes total sense. The lack of a seconds hand also eliminates the clunky tick-tocking that reminds you it's not mechanical. My wife has the same relationship with her Cartier tank. She wears it on special occasions and is more of a G-Shock day-to-day type person. Ti voglio bene. Che stile, ragazzi, che stile. Sono così fortunato, non puoi immaginare. The Ellipse dress watch trend permeated everywhere, from Concord, Creedor, Seiko, Accutron, Longines, IWC, but most notably, driving most of the desirability was in the higher end, with the likes of Rolex, AP, VC, Piaget and Patek. You have to remember, before Genta's 1968 White Shadow, a round case was the status quo for a dressy watch. This was 4 years before he would revolutionize the industry again by introducing the first everyday luxury steel sports watch that we all know of as the Royal Oak. This was way before the over-casualization of sartorial styles that has sadly degenerated into flip-flops and shorts with inappropriate printed t-shirts of today's man-baby dystopia.
What do you know about a man called Scaramanga? The man with the golden gun. Hold on, sir.
If you recall this book from our war room tour, yeah, you guessed it, Scaramanga from the 1974. Man with the golden gun, of course. Another fellow British Italian. What watch did he wear? Well, could have been a Rolex King Midas. Other people speculate it's a Piaget. But is it a sign? Is it a sign? But for me, the ellipse shape hits a little harder due to another 007 villain. And even a late 90s TV style icon, I'm almost certain my obsession with this case was imprinted in my mind like some kind of Proustian horological Madeleine by the character Niles Crane in my favourite TV shows I would religiously watch as a young teen.
I'm feeling a little like the good china.
Someone should be eating off you every day.
He wore his in classically elegant yellow gold on a black leather strap. It still announces its presence due to its instantly recognisable oval shape, which basically tells those in the know what it is, and to everyone else, it just looks like another dress watch. Status signalling on a more refined and thus classier level. Kinda like all the clever jokes that reference obscure high culture.
Just think how a screen this size will enhance the majesty of the Metropolitan Opera. Or the thrilling artists of the Bolshoi.
You are quite a Bolshoi artist yourself.
This memory was mainly forgotten until I was watching a James Bond movie, no less. With the increased glorious quality and clarity of a Blu-ray box set I decided to purchase, I was able to identify most of the other watches featured for the first time, beyond the most discussed to death choices of Bond himself. To my utter astonishment, one of the main reoccurring villains, Ernst Stavro Blofeld, wore an ellipse-style watch. Well, at least the Telly Savalas depiction of the character in On Her Majesty's Secret Service in 1969. Again in yellow gold, but unlike the haughty, misophobic, social climbing Niles Crane with his gourmet tastes, this time on an integrated yellow gold matching bracelet, and the timing of which coincided with the next big trend in dressy watches of that era, which brings me on to the next unboxing.
What article did you win for?
A gripping case history of a narcissistic opera singer. I called it Me, 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 Me.
Okay, next. This was a gamble because, I have to admit, I don't like diamonds on watches. Sometimes on a dial there are the occasional date just, or maybe even a day date, because of the bracelet, because of the condition. I mean, I hope. And it even comes with the box and papers. I believe the papers. Let me see. Let me just check. So there is a return policy on this. So if I really don't like it, I can send it back. Oh, look at that. I've never seen this old vintage Omega box. It's pretty cool. But, oh, wow. Look at this retro Omega box. Never seen one of these before. Oh, wow. Look, there's even a... Oh, it does come with the papers. This is the old school international warranty. Anyway, enough blabbering on. Let's open it up. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Look at that. This looks like it's straight from Las Vegas. The wrist of Frank Sinatra. The gold plating is really done well. This is when gold plating was a little bit, better done. They've got the color of the gold spot on and the fluidity. Look at that bracelet. This kind of bark texture. The diamonds really catch the light, almost like a lume, Very effective. Let's give it 24 hours, see how it behaves. So this heavenly creature is a very rare Patek. This is the 3760. It's not one you see usually. Systematically, every month, every couple of weeks, I check on Shreve Crump and Lowe's used section, which I shouldn't really do because one of these days it's going to cost me a fortune. If you're in the United States, you're going to know these guys. They are the oldest watch dealership in the United States. I see what they have on offer, just in case they have my grail, also to get an idea of prices, that kind of thing. And I spotted this on a mesh bracelet, understated, octagonal case, my cup of tea. But what's interesting is it's priced very, very competitively, and it's because they're kind of underrated in my opinion. I know it's vulgar to talk prices, but to give you an idea of the value and how underappreciated these are. This is going for around just over 10 grand. Bear in mind, a used ellipse on a strap typically costs more than this. It has the full 18 karat yellow gold mesh bracelet, which is what I am really drawn to. Now sure, it hasn't got the ellipse shape, but it's still, you know, going to Danny's vintage watches, that gave me a little taste, and that really confirmed for me that a lot of it is the integration of the bracelet on this dress watch style. I have to stay away from this and I'm sure it'll probably be sold by the time you watch this, but I have to remain strong. I have to keep saving for my Grail watch. I can't lie though, I am tempted by this. But it wasn't Genta who pioneered this new lugless trend with more classical watches. It was in fact another fellow British Italian, the father of modern jewellery design, Andrew Grima. Even though Genta had flirted, rather unsuccessfully, with the lugless design, especially with mesh or finely intricate Milanese styles, as early as 1954 with his first design for AP, the highly overlooked Disco Volante. This is Italian for flying disc, due to its distinctive UFO shape, indicative of the spaceflight-obsessed googie kitsch trend that was so dominant during that decade. But fast forward to 1970, the award-winning jeweller to the royal family, Andrew Grima, was hired by Omega to design the highly successful About Time watch collection, and subsequently in 1976 even a collection of gold digital LED watches for Pulsar. His unique style of blending brutalist elemental finishing with bold, almost primordial organic forms, which are then juxtaposed with ultra-luxurious precious gemstones, kicked off a new industry-wide copied trend, the integrated bracelet dress watch.
You can quickly see why Andrew Grima's touch has won him prizes galore, the Queen's Award to Industry and the Duke of Edinburgh Prize for Elegant Design.
I wanted a totally unique Omega that's hype-free, nobody's really talking about or looking at, with a bit of history or design that's completely underappreciated and yet speaks to me. Is the integrated dress watch the next big thing? We've had sports watches to death, but maybe the dress watch, you know, it's the logical step in my opinion, you know, because in a way it's purer. It's just a simple two complications, hours and minutes, ultra thin. I think it really worked well with Andrew Grima because he blurred the lines between jewellery and horology. What's interesting here is this Omega from that period fuses the Genta style case with Andrew Grima's signature yellow gold tone, wood or bark-like texture to the bracelet. And this was then confirmed by the words "Made in England" engraved on the back of the clasp. Coincidence? Well, not at all. You see, all Grima designed and subsequent Grima inspired Omegas were made specially by craftsmen in the UK. I love that brown. I took some polywatch actually to the crystal and it's come up really nicely, so I'm pleased about that. Return this one. It's been emotional. Also, look at that slenderness. You just can't beat it. I think these two together, oh my God, look at that. So guys, I'm gonna leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video, especially if you want to see more free and independent content. As for the wristwatch check, well, it is my panerai. It's on a new strap from a brand I've never tried before. I purchased a whole bunch of those. I'm still gathering my thoughts, so I'm not going to mention what it is just yet, but stay tuned to the Instagram because I'll be doing a video, kind of a mini review if you will, of these straps and a whole lot more. Follow me on there as well. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Onwards and upwards. Ciao.